Great. Okay. Thank you, Danielle, for this introduction. It's not that busy yet, so hopefully a lot of you will watch this webinar after I'm doing this, so not live. So first, a short introduction. My name is Anouk Dijkgraaf. I'm from the Netherlands. Our company is based in the Netherlands, which is seen as the gateway to Europe. So we are Susta's in-market consultant for the full European market. The company started in 1991, and we are Susta's in-market consultant since 2007. They have built a strong network. We have a lot of experience in the food and agriculture business, and also beverages is included in that, and a lot of knowledge about this. So together with a passionate team, we work on all European SISTA activities. The three persons that you see here on this slide are the persons that you mainly see as a SISTA company. So that's Roseanne, Victor, and myself. We have other colleagues as well, but this team is dedicated to the SISTA activities. So today I will explain a little bit more about the European alcoholic beverages market. Why is Europe an interesting market for you? A lot of differences within the market. I try to keep it as general as possible, but there are a lot of differences in the market, especially for this subject. I cannot cover all of them, unfortunately, but I will highlight a few. Drinking habits, some trends, and then we will discuss how to export to Europe. What is the supply chain? How is it structured? Segmentation in the market. Where are the products sold? Labeling. What do you need to change? Bottle sizes that we use. Documentation. Taxes. And I will conclude with some SISTA events that I would like to highlight. So first, the European market. We start with why Europe can be an interesting market for you as a US exporter. So Europe is a mature market. It's an easily accessible market. It can be more difficult to get into the European market compared to, for example, some emerging markets. But once you have found a good and reliable partner in the market, and when you're in, most of the times you're in. So next to that, we do have a long trading history with the US, which results in good direct freight connections. A lot of the consumers, of the end consumers, speak English, but especially the business partners that you're doing business with, most of them speak English, which makes it easier to negotiate, to have discussions. European consumers are interested in trying new US products. So we are open to new to US products, and we are also following the trends in your country. So eating and shopping and drinking habits are quite comparable between the US and Europe. So Europe, the EU, is a large market, and combined with UK, there is a population of over 500 million relatively rich consumers. The EU is one custom zone, so as soon as your product is in, it can travel freely without new certifications, etc. However, this does not fully apply to alcoholic beverages, but I will explain more about this later during this webinar. Please do not see Europe as one country. The EU consists out of 27 different countries, and each country has its own identity, difference in consumer habits between the markets, different languages are spoken in the countries, and this is important for your labeling, but I will come back to this later as well. Not all countries do use the euros. Logistics are arranged country by country, and for each export market or market cluster, you need to work with a different importer. There are also differences in the terms of payment, and even though some regulations are harmonized, um, each country has its own regulations and requirements as well, especially for this industry. These are just some examples, but I will explain some examples into more detail. The legal drinking age, for example. The legal drinking age varies across European countries. Each country has its own regulations regarding the minimum legal age for purchasing and consuming alcoholic beverages. Here are some examples of the minimum drinking age in the European countries. And in some countries, it is a criminal offense for anyone under 18 to have alcohol in their possession in public, and selling alcohol to minors is illegal. Governments also run campaigns to raise awareness among teenagers and their parents about the risk of underage drinking. Another difference is how alcoholic beverages are sold per country. And an example of this is the Nordic countries, Sweden, Finland, Norway in this case. Here products are sold by government-owned chains or retail monopolies. In Sweden, I don't really know, I'm not precise how to pronounce it, but the Systembolaget is the only retail store that is allowed to sell alcoholic beverages that contain more than 3.5 alcohol by volume, so ABV. And they have 448 outlets in Sweden. In Finland, the alcoholic beverages are sold by the national alcoholic beverage retailing monopoly Alco. And in the Netherlands, for example, you can buy beer, wine, and liquor with an alcohol percentage of up to 15% in supermarkets. For spirits, you will need to go to a liquor store, and products with a higher ABV. These liquor stores are often located near to the supermarkets, or some supermarkets have separate liquor stores inside as well. So Europe is a diverse continent with a wide range of cultures and traditions, and this diversity reflects in the drinking habits of the population. It is, of course, impossible to cover all the nuances, but here are some examples of the differences in drinking habits. The type of alcoholic beverages that is consumed varies across Europe. For example, beer is a popular choice in Germany, in Belgium, the Czech Republic, and the UK. And each of these countries often has its own unique beer style and traditions. Countries like France, Italy, Spain, and Portugal, they are known for their wine production, and wine is a significant part of their culture. And it's often consumed with meals. And then another example is vodka. This is a common choice in the Eastern European countries like Poland. It's often consumed neat or used as a base for cocktails. And spirits like whiskey, gin, and rum, they are popular in countries like Scotland, Ireland, and England, and also in the Nordic countries. In some European cultures, it's common to have wine or beer with meals. For instance, in the Mediterranean countries like Italy, Spain, and Greece, having a lunch or a dinner with wine is a cultural norm. And in, for example, Northern European countries, people might prefer beer or schnapps with their meals or after. Cocktail culture varies widely as well. So countries like the UK have a rich tradition of cocktails. Pubs offer a wide range of mixed drinks. And in recent years, craft cocktails have also become popular mainly in cities across Europe. Social drinking differs as well. In Southern European countries, socializing often includes sharing meals and drinks. And in countries like Germany, beer gardens and beer halls are common social spaces. In Nordic countries, here the alcohol is more heavily regulated by the government and it's more expensive. So home gatherings are popular here with a drink. As mentioned earlier, the drinking age varies from country to country. This affects the drinking habits of young adults as well. The attitude towards alcohol differs as well. In some cultures, moderate drinking is widely accepted and integrated in daily life. In other countries, there might be a more reserved or celebratory approach to alcohol consumption. So this is continually evolving, and this can be influenced by factors such as social, economic, and health considerations. Several trends are shaping the industry. I have highlighted a few. So the first one is craft beer. Craft beer is experiencing a surge in popularity across Europe. Many countries, including the UK, Germany, and Scandinavia, they are witnessing a significant increase in the number of craft breweries. Unique and innovative flavors are becoming more common, and it is appealing for consumers to look for diverse beer experiences. So among the large variety of alcoholic beverages that the Europeans can choose from, specialty beer had witnessed a grow in the demand, and particularly under the younger consumers. So there's a lot of demand for light and fruity flavors, especially during the summer months. And an interesting development here as well is the ready-to-drink canned cocktails and other alcoholic beverages. So the canned cocktails is the popularity for these products is particularly seen during the summer months in Europe when it's warmer, the climate's warmer climate, and consumers are looking for refreshing drinks. So the ready-to-drink cocktails are really popular during the summer months. The craft gin movement is in full swing in several European countries, and this is especially in the UK and in Spain. This is a trend we see in all markets or all product categories, the health conscious trend. For the alcoholic beverage industry, this has led to a rise in the demand for low alcohol drinks and alcohol-free beverages. Another thing is the sustainability and local products. And this is of course not the best trend for you as a US exporter, but it is important that you are aware of this. So there's a growing emphasis on sustainability and supporting local producers. So consumers, they are increasingly interested in beverages made from locally sourced ingredients and products that are yeah produced using environmentally friendly practices. The next one is premiumization. Consumers are willing to pay more for high quality and premium alcoholic beverages, and this trend is noticeable in, for example, the wine industry. Consumers are exploring premium and fine wines, and premium and aged spirits are gaining popularity as well. Online sales and delivery is the last one. The digitalization of the alcohol industry has become more common. Online sales of alcoholic beverages, including home deliveries, are on the rise. And this trend was accelerated by the COVID pandemic, where people were looking for more online shopping options. Another thing that I would like to add is the cocktail culture. So there's a lot of interest in cocktails driven by the craft cocktail movement, and bars and restaurants, and particularly here in urban areas. They are offering creative and unique cocktails. So in general, to sum up the trends, the consumers are moving to alcoholic beverages with lower or no alcohol. Price is becoming less relevant as consumers are looking for quality, new tastes, and different types of drinks. And younger consumers are increasingly interested in mild drinks. So when it comes to the consumption of spirits, Eastern European countries are clearly the winners. The largest consumers of spirits in Europe is Latvia, with 5.3 liters of pure alcohol per year. Just behind Latvia, we see Lithuania and Bulgaria with 5 liters. So the Baltic states over here are all in the top 5, in the European top 5. Turkey has the lowest spirits consumption in Europe, and Turkey also has the lowest consumption for beer and wines. The largest consumers for beer in Europe is the Czech Republic with 135 liters of beer. Central Europe over here is clearly the biggest consumer of beer. The Czech Republic, Austria, Poland, and Germany. They are not only the biggest consumers of beer in Europe, but of the whole world. Europe is especially the southern European countries, of course, is the biggest producer of wine in the world. And as mentioned before, this is a big part of their culture as well. So the largest consumers of wine in Europe is France. They drink per year 54 liters of wine. Over here, just behind France, we have Portugal with 50 liters, and third is Slovenia with 44 liters. We see that southern European countries are clearly the biggest consumer of wine, and Spain is an interesting case in this one. You might already have noticed this with 29 liters. Yeah, Spain is famous for their wines, but despite this, yeah, Spaniards drink more beer than wines. So when we are looking at the trade of the US with the EU, we see that distilled spirits is the number 5 product category that is exported from the US to Europe. So after tree nuts, soybeans, fish and seafood, and forest products, we have distilled spirits over here. And distilled spirits is by far the largest product category that is exported to Europe within the alcoholic beverages industry, followed by wine and wine products. The EU was by far the largest export market for US distilled spirits in 2022. And looking at the UK, yellow one over here, you see that with a value of 160 million US dollars. This is a really important market destination for UK spirit, for US spirits as well. Okay, let's start exporting to this interesting market. What do you need to take into account when exporting to this market, or when you are preparing your entry strategy? Yeah, know that being prepared and have knowledge about the market you would like to enter is crucial to have success in the market. So first, the supply chain. The supply chain of imported alcoholic beverages in Europe can vary depending on the specific country, the type of your products, and your distribution preferences. But in general, Europeans like to work with a short supply chain. And you, as a US exporter, will probably work with a European importer. And in Europe, importers are businesses that are specialized in bringing foreign alcoholic beverages into a specific country. They handle tasks such as the custom clearance, warehousing, distribution. And in Europe, an importer needs to have a special license to be able to import alcoholic beverages. So not all importers can import your products or alcoholic beverages. Importers are also responsible for ensuring that the imported products comply with local regulations, including, for example, labeling, health and safety standards, and alcohol content regulations. So I would really advise you to search for a reliable importer in the market that can help you with all your questions as well, about the regulations, documents that you need, certifications. They know what they are doing, so please make use of their experience and knowledge as well. Then the importer often work with a network of distributors and wholesalers. Distributors, they typically supply to retailers, to the supermarkets, liquor stores, bars, and restaurants. But they also have facilities for storing the alcoholic beverages, and they ensure that your products are delivered safely and on time to the retailers. So then your product is at the retailers. Alcoholic beverages are sold in supermarkets, liquor stores, but I will go into this further later on as well. So supermarkets often carry a variety of imported and local alcoholic beverages. So it's a combination of local and imported products. Imported beverages are also distributed to bars, restaurants, and cafes, and in some cases, the importer works directly with the bars and the restaurants to supply specific products. So then a distributor and wholesaler is not used. E-commerce platforms, so online retailers, are also on the rise, and many imported beverages of alcoholic beverages are sold through through e-commerce platforms and online retailers. They offer a wide selection of products and are often directly sourced from the importers. And then, of course, your products reach the end consumer, who purchased your products for personal consumption or for special events or occasion. And as mentioned, this supply chain is different country to country due to regulations, consumer preferences, and market structures. Again, local market research and understanding the specific requirements for a market is crucial. Again, we work with a short supply chain, and maybe you noticed that I did not mention agents. Importers in Europe don't like to work with agents. They want to do business directly with you. They want to look you in the eyes and don't want to work with middlemen. And retailers in Europe hardly import directly. So I really advise you to find a good importer to work with. There are different options to sell the products in Europe. Selling alcoholic beverages in Europe involves navigating various regulations, cultural differences again, and the market demand, of course. I will outline some different options. It's good to make a choice in your entry strategy on where you would like to focus on first, because you cannot target all of these segments at once. Please check. All these segments do not apply for each market because there are differences again. So please check the differences and how a market is structured before you enter a market. And if you have questions about specific markets, you can always register for a virtual consultation after this webinar as well. But I will explain a little bit more about this later on. So the first are retail stores. There are large retail chains that are common outlets for selling beer, wine, and spirits. The liquor stores, these are the shops that are specialized in alcoholic beverages, and they often carry a diverse range of products. Restaurants and bars. This is a significant, alcoholic beverages is a significant revenue source for bars and pubs. And here we are mainly talking about beer and cocktails for Europe. And the fine dining restaurants, they offer the upscale restaurants, they offer an extensive selection of wines and spirits to complement meals. Sorry, not beer, to complement meals. Online retail. So online retailers, they provide a convenient way for consumers to purchase alcoholic beverages with options for home delivery and pickups. Maybe subscription services can be a nice target. Where the subscription platform delivers selections of wines and craft beers to consumers' doorsteps on a regular basis. The distributors, they act as an intermediate between you as a producer and retailer to ensure that the products reach the different outlets. And the wholesaler, they buy products in bulk to sell them to retailers at a discounted rate, which makes it easier for a retailer to stock diverse products because they have a lot of products, but not that much of each product. And we have special events and festivals that you could target. Participating in an event dedicated to food and beverages, it provides a lot of exposure to a broad audience. Hosting tastings and promotions in collaboration with, for example, bars, restaurants, and retailers can attract customers as well. And we we sometimes organize promotional events for alcoholic beverages with SESTA as well. So please keep a look at the SESTA website for events like this. Another thing that you could do is work with a local producer. So partnering with local wineries, breweries, or distilleries. This can create unique products and help you get into the market. Or work together with, for example, hotels, resorts, or cruise ships. And they supply your products to their customers. Again, conduct market research, understand the local preferences, comply with regulations, and make a entry strategy that is tailoring a specific market strategy to a specific region. And focus on specific consumer segments. This can help you to have success in a market. So I mentioned differences between the retail and food service. So here are some pros and cons of focusing and targeting food service versus retail. So for food service, you can use a more simple and less attractive packaging, as there is less emotion for the purchase. Here, taste and quality is important, and price as well, of course. There are more buyers for food service that buy directly. It's relatively easier to access, and there are fewer rules. For food retail, larger volumes are needed. There's more emotion when a product is purchased, so the packaging needs more attractive to them. There are only a few large buyers for retail, and you will need more budget and time to target retailers. But however, as mentioned, volumes are larger. Sorry. Labeling. So the EU has specific regulations regarding labeling of alcoholic beverages. When exporting your product, it is crucial that your product complies with the latest official EU guidelines. The importer that you work with knows about these regulations as well, is updated if there is a change, so he or she will help you with this as well. So I will inform you about some mandatory information that needs to be added to your label and some additional information. So the first is the name of the product. So the label must clearly state the nature of the products. For example, is it beer? Is it wine? Is it whiskey? Etc. The alcoholic strength must be indicated on the label using the ABV percentage. The quantity of the beverage in the package, and for wines this is standard 750 milliliters. This must be clearly mentioned as well. Some additives and allergens must be listed if they are present in the beverages above a certain level. Then it must be stated on the label. The name and the physical address of the manufacturer or the bottler must be provided on the label. Information to identify the batch of the production for traceability must be added. And alcoholic beverages above a certain ABV must display a health warning about the danger of alcohol consumption, such as drink responsibly or something similar. But again, here there are differences market to market as well, country to country. It's not mandatory to mention the nutritional information, for example, calories, but it is encouraged and it's becoming more common to do this, but it's not mandatory. If the product is organic, it can be labeled as organic if it meets the EU organic farming standards. If your product is approved as organic by USDA, you can use this certificate for the EU as well. The PDO and PGI, if applicable, certain traditional products are protected and can only be labeled as such if they meet specific criteria related to the origin and production methods. Labels must be in the official language of the country where a product is sold. So if you are selling your product in Germany, the German language needs to be, the information needs to be in German. And here on this example, you see some different languages added. So that can be possible as well to make a combination. Beer, bier, cerveza, etc. The expiration date, that depends on the products that you have. So, for example, the expiration date doesn't have to be mentioned on beverages with an alcohol content of 10% or more by volume, or if the beverage is in individual containers of more than 5 liters. So again, it is important to note that the individual EU member states have specific regulations or additional requirements. So everything that I mentioned, it can be different rules for a specific market as well. So we advise you to consult legal experts or regulatory authorities in a specific country where you would like to sell to. For the most current and detailed information, I recommend checking the official website of the European Commission. So if you Google for this, you will find it. Using a sticker is allowed, but not preferred, especially not for retail. For food service, we sometimes see that happen, but for food retail, no. Then the bottle sizes. So in Europe, the quantity is expressed in liters, centiliters, or milliliters. We are 100% metric. For distilled beverages with more than 15% ABV, there are mandatory volumes for bottles. I have mentioned them here, and you probably might notice that we don't have the 0.75 liter bottles, we use 0.70. So that's something you might need to change when you want to export to Europe. For beers, they are typically in 330 milliliter cans or bottles. This size is one of the most frequent for bottled beers in Europe. Of course, there are some variations depending on the country, again, and the specific brewery traditions. The size of a pint, which is 568 milliliters, is popular for beers in the UK and Ireland. And in some countries, you can also find cans that contain up to 1 liter of beers, for example, in Germany. Documentation. So there are some requirements from the US government for exporting your products, but this may vary depending on what your product is being, on what kind of product is being exported, whether you are also the producer of the product, and if the product is being exported tax paid or without payment of tax. So there are a lot of requirements and then differences here as well. So I would advise you to visit the website of the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, the TTB. Here you can find all requirements as they may apply for your particular situation. There's also some applicable state and or local requirements. So they must be met into addition of the regulations of the TTB. Also, for example, on how to obtain your export documents, such as the certificate of origin that you need for exporting, I refer to the TTB. And next to the required export documentation, you also need when you ship your products, you need to add a commercial invoice for shipping, a bill of lading, including your HS codes of the products that are shipped, the volume of the products, and the ABV. Your freight forwarder can help you with your export certificates, and if you have any questions about documents, your importer can help you with this as well. All EU countries and the UK levy excise duties on alcohol, and this excise tax is applied to the costs, the cost of goods of purchase. A standard size of liquor bottle in Europe is the 700 milliliter, as mentioned before, and when looking at the average, many spirits contain an alcohol content of about 400%. So the average excess duty in the EU on a standard bottle of liquor containing 40% alcohol is €5.30, which is around $5.58. Here also there are a lot of differences between the markets. The highest excess duties are applied in Finland, Sweden, and Ireland. Where it's between 12 and 14 euros here, the excess duty. So you can see the dark blue countries over here. For beers, the excess duty is at least €1.87 per 100 liters. That amounts up to a minimum of 3 cents for a 330 milliliter beer bottle with 5% alcohol. So 3 cents per bottle of alcohol is tax, the minimum. And as you can see on the right map, it's maybe a little bit small, but I will share or make sure that you will receive the slides later as well. So on the right map, you can see that only a few European countries stick to the minimum rate, so the 3 cents. But most countries levy much higher duties. For example, Finland, again, the UK and Ireland, they have the highest excess duties, ranging from 62 euro cents to, that's the highest. So between 37 and 62 euro cents per beer. And it's good to mention that in the Netherlands, there are discussions at the moment to increase the excess duties. So there are changes all the time. In the European Union, a product can travel freely to other European Union member countries. So that means once a product is in, it can travel freely without paying import duties again. There is an exception for alcoholic beverages. So as soon as your product is re-exported to another EU member country, you have to pay excess taxes again. So you can avoid this by working with a bonded warehouse. So if your product enters the country in a bonded warehouse, you don't have to pay the excess taxes yet. But as soon as your product is re-exported to another country, you pay the excess tax in that specific country. So if you use a bonded warehouse, that's different. In general, the tax rates across the EU are higher than the US. So that's good to think about when you see a price of a product in the store. So all EU countries, they levy value-added tax on beer. This is charged on the sales value of a beer bottle. This is not included in the map on this slide. So I know I talked already for a long time, but it's time to sum up this informational part. So exporting alcoholic beverages from the EU to Europe, it involves several considerations to ensure that you are compliant with the regulations and to ensure a successful market entry. Again, I highlighted only some general guidelines, so it's important to consult legal and trade experts. As regulations can change as well. So what do you need to consider when exporting to Europe? So labeling, ensure that your labels comply with the EU regulations. Labels needs to be in the official language of a country that you are exporting to. Research the applicable tariffs and duties for your specific products in your target country. Ensure you have all necessary custom forms and documentation and that they are filled out accurately. Understand the VAT requirements in the destination country. Research and choose appropriate distribution or partners who understand the local market. Work with experienced shipping companies to handle the transportation and the logistics, and consider also here factors like temperature controlled containers for some products. Understand the licensing requirements for selling alcoholic beverages in a target country. Check for any restrictions on the import of specific types of alcohol. Ensure that your product meets the European quality standards and regulations, and also for health and safety, comply with European health and safety standards for your products. The consumer preferences, so it's important to do market research to this, understand the preferences of the consumers in the specific country, know what their taste is, and taste and trends can vary widely. Then currency and payments. Be mindful of the currency exchanges and the rates, and how they can impact your pricing. You can sell your products in US dollars, but for us, a dollar is not a dollar due to currency fluctuations in the currency. It's good to be aware of this. Clearly defines the payment terms with your buyers to avoid any misunderstandings. Be aware of the cultural norms and the etiquettes, especially for marketing and the packaging. Have a plan for your after sales service and support for any issues that the consumers might face with your products. Ensure all export documentation, so the invoices, certificates of origin, etc., are in order to comply with EU regulations. And that's it. And I don't want to say it again, but it can differ from country to country. So please be aware of the differences, especially for this industry and your products. That's really important. So do the research to the specific requirements that you're planning to export to. The question that you need to ask yourself, are you ready to export? Do you want to be an exporter? Exporting is fun, but it also requires a lot of time and money to invest. So do you have the time to be an exporter? Do you have the money? Do you have the skills? And you can learn these, of course, but you need to be open to that. And what is the alternative? The SESTA events that I want to mention, and I added here a nice picture of one of the SESTA activity managers in Tennessee during the USDA ATM in Amsterdam in April this year. So some of you might know her. So the first one is the virtual consultations. I can imagine that you have some questions after this webinar. So that can be next week, next month, next year. Please know that you can always register for a virtual consultation with one of the European in-market consultants. This can help you to conduct market research. We give you direct feedback on the products, and you don't even have to leave your home. So it's very easy. Based on the topics that you would like to discuss, you can send them up front. The market that you would like to focus on, and based on the products that you have, we have a tailored one-on-one meeting with you. So please feel free to register for this. That's all part of SESTA's program. This is a screenshot of the website. Click on events and then go to export education, where you can find the registration page for other markets as well. So not only for Europe. In March, we will be at ProWine with SESTA. We have a pavilion at the show for the second year in a row. It's in Düsseldorf, Germany, and this show has one hall dedicated to what is called the Same But Different hall. And here visitors can find products that are different than just normal spirits and wines. So everything else can be found in this hall. And this is a very popular part of the show. That's the reason why we don't have a lot of space for this show, and there's only one booth left. So if you would like to exhibit with Sasta at the show, I recommend you to, or I advise you to register soon. Another event we have is the IFE in London. This show is not focused only on alcoholic beverages, but on food and drinks. It's the International Food and Drink event, so also food. But if you're focusing on the UK, the IFE is a really good show for your products. Susta has a pavilion at the show, and there are still booths available. It's a 3-day show. If you would like to receive more information, just let Danielle or myself know. We are happy to explain you more about the show. Here is my contact information. If you have questions, you can also send an email. Feel free to do that. And then I think it's time for questions.
Oh,
if we have some time left, because I know that I talked, there was a lot of information.
That is okay. We do have a few questions. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I know in the US we definitely have regulations about that. So
sorry, I lost you. So I don't know which question you are talking about.
Yes, sorry. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is that better? Okay, so it's a marketing question. Someone is asking if there's a way to find out more about what countries allow in terms of marketing alcohol. For example, Lithuania is very strict. So this, I know in the US we have certain, rules and regulations around marketing for alcohol as well. So do you have any recommendations on where to find information for that?
Not specifically, but I can dive into this and send this particular information to you if you would like. Because I don't think there is like one website including information for all different markets. Sure. But if there are some specific markets, I can search for this and send it to the one who asked the question.
Yep. Great. Okay. And then a question about the retaliatory EU tariff on spirits on American whiskey. There's a question about that tariff coming back in 2024.
I don't have the answer to this question, as this is a political question, of course. So I don't know.
You do. Next, in country where the government is the seller, who do you contact or sell to in order to get your products into that market?
That depends on the country. For example, in Sweden, there are importers that are allowed by the government to work as an importer for alcoholic beverages. Sometimes there are tenders from the government, and these importers apply to this, or how do you say that? They make a proposal for these tenders, this request for proposals, and based on their proposals and what the government retailers are looking for, new products will be added to the assortment.
Okay. Another question. Looks like we have two more. We're brokers working with multiple producers of alcoholic beverages. Are we considered an agent for those buyers that to order direct, or are the agents you referred to agents within the importing country?
That's what I mentioned. Brokers, agents, from your side. So it is possible to work with, for a producer to work with a broker or an agent, but the importers in Europe generally don't like to work with middlemen.
With the middleman. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have had requests from some large food store chains in other markets that are looking for private label wines. Is that something that European buyers are looking for? Costco, for example, bottles products under its private label brand.
Yeah, I did not even mention private labeling in my presentation, but I can talk about this for a long time as well. Private label is definitely a growing market in Europe. I just saw a research for that private label grew in all markets except from Switzerland last year. And also for alcoholic beverages, retailers are looking for options for private label to help competing with other brands, because private label, of course, mainly most of the times the products are less expensive, and the private label competes to the other products in this so yeah, for wines, private label, yes.
Okay.
And
Great.
spirits as well, beers as well. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Anouk. This was enlightening. I know it's hard with Europe because each country has its own specific laws and regulations, but this was a good overview of the entire market. So as Anouk mentioned, if anybody has questions and wants to schedule a time to meet with Anouk, you can register for a consultation on our website. And yes, please reach out. If you have questions, I will be emailing you all this afternoon once the recording and the presentation are up on the website. So keep an eye out for that as well. All right. And thank you so much, Anouk. This was
You're
great.
welcome. Again,
Wonderful.
questions, just let me know. We are here to help you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening and take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.